Hi, I'm Jack Baruzzini, and you're listening to The Secret to Stargate, where we talk about the hidden meanings and deeper layers found in the Stargate movies, TV series, and more. And joining me today are Father Cory Sticha. Hi, Father.
Howdy, Jack.
And Lisa Jones. Hi, Lisa.
Hey, Jack.
And Victor Lamb. Say, Victor.
Hi, Jack.
Today we are discussing the 17th episode of Season 7, Resurrection. SG1 investigates a bloody crime scene at a secret NID facility. The culprit is Anna, a woman who turns out to be an experimental human-Goa'uld hybrid. As the team unravels the truth behind her creation, they discover many, many layers of NID nefariousness, shall we say, and lots of callbacks to previous episodes. What are your thoughts on this episode, Father?
This wasn't a bad one, although I kind of made the joke when we started recording is Mulder and Scully. I mean, there's a lot of X-Files feel to this. Of course, it's the rogue government agency doing nefarious things. Although they have a cleaning lady, I mean, so they're not that bad.
Crew, apparently, yeah.
No, this one wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It was nice to see Agent Barrett, actually get like something to do other than just sit behind a desk. Yeah, and was written by Michael Shanks and directed by Amanda Tapping, who of course are the two stars of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jack is nowhere to be seen, and didn't really miss him, to be honest, at this point.
He was mentioned one line. Oh, he's still recovering.
Yep,
that's it.
What about you, Lisa?
I agree with Father Cory. This is definitely, Stargate goes X-Files. And we had a few of those, and I like them. It's a good episode. There's some Dr. Lee showing up is always a standout. And the creepiness of Dr. Kefer, really, and the references to Silence of the Lambs was kind of a standout for me, because I'm not sure if that was intended to be like his persona, and all the references to Silence of the Lambs was intended, or if it was just awkward. I don't know, but I like it. It's a different take. I'm going to lodge my complaint once again on season 7 that we don't have the team together, and that's my really only huge complaint about this episode, is that I miss seeing the four of them together.
Mm-hmm. I do appreciate, though, that they just went ahead and acknowledged that he was basically playing Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah.
Like, they're like, everyone's going to say that, so let's just point it out in the episode.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about you, Victor?
Yeah, this episode really didn't do anything for me. It's the only episode in Stargate that was written and directed by cast members, and it's kind of clear why they didn't do it again. If you listen to the commentary with Amanda Tapping, it's clear she was very proud of kind of the technical aspects of directing that she brought to it, how she set up her shots, and there's some cool crane shots and, long takes and stuff. But in terms of getting good performances out of the actors, that didn't happen here. Brad Greenquist and Kristen Dalton are either over the top or just completely flat in their performances, and it kind of hurts the episode. And the writing is very paint by numbers too. So and there's plot holes right and left. It didn't really do anything for me, but it was the last episode of season 7 that they produced. So they were kind of, right at the end of the season. They had to just get something out, and that's what they did.
Yeah, I liked it. I like when Stargate kind of does the whole X-Files kind of thing, and it makes the universe feel a little bit bigger. And I think Barrett was the best part of this episode.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it a lot, but he was the most interesting character. Everyone else felt kind of like they were phoning it in. I did like, though, at the beginning, they mentioned that Schaefer, his dad, was a Nazi war criminal, and they're talking about, well, this is the rogue NID, and they're working with Nazi war criminals. And it's like, as someone who lives in Huntsville, Alabama, it's not just rogue elements of the United States government that would work with Nazi war criminals.
Can you say funny. Apollo program?
Well,
we have a giant
Yeah, and I had a problem with that too because it's like, oh yeah, his father, was a Nazi war criminal. It's like, well, they'll just work with anyone. It's like that was his dad. That's not him. He wasn't a Nazi war criminal. I mean,
no, he's a wannabe Nazi war criminal, but he wasn't.
Yeah, but
he wasn't one yet.
It's just funny because we have in town the Warner von Braun Center, which is like the big event center in the middle of town. And
oh, funny.
So, yeah. It also felt like this is one of those kind of ideas where they'll drop it in every so often and then you get like 3/4 of the way through the episode and not a lot has happened and then they wrap it up really quickly and it's like,
they do.
It's done. Okay.
Yeah. The ending just, all of a sudden was the ending.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was weird.
They're both dead. The end.
And then there's no wrap up. It's just fade to black. We're done. It was weird.
And like visually, I don't know if they talked about this in the commentary at all, but they made references to Scheffler being like Hannibal Lecter, and then they have Anna in that like clear glass enclosure, which is straight out of Silence of the Lambs also.
Mm-hmm.
So felt like they were going a lot for like a horror vibe.
This is like probably one of the most horror type episodes of SG1. They filmed the entire thing in just one big warehouse. And stuff. And so they had to scout the different locations in it. There's a lot of talking about why they chose the different rooms they did. The glass box that Anna is in was supposed to be made out of plexiglass, so you wouldn't have had that metal bar that ran across it. But then when the people who built the prop said, oh, you're going to be building a fire in this, we can't build it out of plexiglass, we have to build it out of glass, and you can't get panes of glass that big, so we have to have this bar across it. And so Amanda Tapping in her mind had already set up all of her shots without that bar there, And so the day before she started filming, she saw that what the actual finished set looked like and had to basically recompose her shots so that, Daniel Jackson's face wasn't behind them, the cross, this big metal cross piece that runs across the set. But yeah, it does open with a very nice shot, because we're told that, 30 or some odd NID agents were killed. Once you actually see the video footage of how they were killed, it's not clear how they didn't get any shots off, It's one girl walking around with a semi-automatic pistol and you have 30 soldiers there, but okay. But it is a very cool shot where their Steadicam operator is on a crane, comes down, goes over to where, SG1 is showing up. Well, it's all one continuous take, gets back on the crane. The crane kind of goes into the warehouse as SG1 comes, into it from another door. And so that part is very cool. Technically, very well directed there.
Yeah. The episode, I mean, it looks good. Like you said, it's very much got the horror vibes because everything's dark. Even the brighter lit areas are dark. But the only room that's really brightly lit is the glass cube.
Yeah.
Everything else is, even like the conference room or, the room where Dr. Kefer is being stored, even that is dark. It's not very brightly lit at all.
Yeah. And so the main point of this episode is that, the NID has been doing experiments. And at one point, to create a Gould human hybrid that Dr. Kefer can control through electroshocks to the brain and basically bring out whichever personality he wants. And he's doing this to access the knowledge of the Gould without having to form a harcesis or whatever. And so they go into this laboratory area and they pull out this like drawer full of like dead babies in jars. And so I was like, okay, SG1, that's a little like, that's a little too far. It's a little
much.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh yeah, she was like the 25th or whatever hybrid that they worked on. And then they tortured her and they're like, oh, that's terrible for her. Gosh, that really sucks. And then you're like, well, what about the other like human hybrids who didn't make it that far? It sucks for them too, right? So, but they're kind of just very callous about all the other like failed experiments here and just focusing on Anna.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just you have to compartmentalize when you're in that kind of situation. You can't worry about every single aspect. So I kind of understand that, but yeah.
Yeah, but for the viewer, when they pull out the jars of the babies, they call them, fetuses that don't look human. But and then they start talking about all the false starts and all this stuff, and it's like, hey, this is a little dark and creepy for Stargate. Like, if you really think about what they were doing, and then they just kind of hand wave it, like, oh, but, and then the torture of her, and you're like, I don't know. So. And then they tell you she can't be saved. She can't be rescued, and there's this Gould and it's dark and her nightmares. You're like, where are we going?
Yeah.
What are we going to what's going to happen here? And of course, then I feel like the easy out that everyone just dies.
Well, the even easier out of like the ticking clock, right? We have an actual literal ticking time bomb that they throw in there.
And of course, you got to throw in we tried to turn it off and it started running much faster.
Yeah. Yep. I did like the Dr. Lee and Teal'c scenes though, where they're trying to defuse the bomb, and he plugs it into the computer to try to reset it, and it makes it speed up and like cuts like several hours off the countdown. And Barrett comes in and he's like, what's going on? He's like, we had a little setback. The bomb's going to go off in like 42 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I love it when they first, it's got 10 pounds of naquita. Well, what does that mean? How big is the explosion going to be? Oh, all of Orange County.
Yeah.
So Anna has set the bomb while the Sekhmet personality was dominant. So she would have leverage with Dr. Kessler and the NID to basically be allowed to leave as Sekhmet and stuff. And so that's timing down. And so the last half of the episode is all Dr. Jackson trying various ways to access the memories and figure out how to defuse the bomb. And Anna, throughout her short life, has been, doing charcoal drawings and stuff. And, all throughout the episode, we're looking at these drawings. Daniel Jackson's looking at the drawings. Daniel Jackson tries all these different ways to get Anna to remember, including trying to do, meditation, which backfires. And then at the end, he just happens to find the right drawing that was sitting there the whole time that has the combination to turn off the bomb. And you're like, okay, well, that was anticlimactic.
That was
on the top of the pile. I mean, she basically sets a fire because, of course, you got someone in a box with lots of flammable material. Let's give them an open candle.
And they're unstable.
She can't meditate on the other side of the glass. You have to put it in there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Goa'uld comes out and lights the fires on paper. But fortunately, the one they're looking for was just singed around the edges nicely.
The drawings are just used as like a Deus Ex Machina for so many different things, because they have the arc that has the bomb in it, and it's got like the 4 scarabs on top, and you have to turn them in a specific way to open it. And they find the drawing that has like the combination lock, which it's only 4 different knobs that you can turn. Like you could probably just like brute force that in like 5 minutes. I don't know why they needed a drawing for that.
Yeah. But when you see her sitting there with that candle, you're like, whose bright idea was that exactly? Was that Daniel?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it was Daniel's.
Huh? How do you get the candle in there? And then he just like hand her some matches through the grate. Like what? What was?
What were they thinking?
There was a little slide thing there, I guess.
Yeah, on the commentary track, Amanda Tapping says, "Yeah, we had to come up with a reason for why they would give her a candle," and then doesn't say anything else about it.
Makes you wonder how the conversation went, where someone's like, do you think that's really good? Like, how did that know? And I could just see them having that debate, and someone's finally like, whatever, let's just like go with it. It's just film it.
Just work with it.
Yeah.
So since they have Kefler is seen like chain smoking, have it be that she picked up that habit from him, and she asks for a cigarette, and then she lights it with that. Like, there's ways you could have done it within the plot that would have been made more sense.
Well, I like, of course she hasn't been outside of this room basically, or at least this building.
Yeah.
And Daniel's like, remember, think of an empty room made of stone and the floor's marble and there's a door. And she's describing all this stuff. I was like, other than picture, she has no clue what all that is.
Mm-hmm. Well, then he says, picture
box.
Everyone's there to worship you and this. And it's like, obviously he's trying to bring out the Goa'uld personality. Okay, I got confused about that. So was it really the Gould at the end, or was it her pretending, or back in?
It was never the Gould at the end. It was all Anna breaking out herself, taking down all the armed guards. Yeah. So
that's a little unclear. I mean, she wasn't doing the whole Gould, you will worship me thing, but she still had kind of that strong tone of voice and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Anna, because at the end, I think she confronts Dr. Kefer and says, no, it's not the Gould, it's me, and stuff. So, but yeah, so she shoots Dr. Kefer, and it's, then she zaps her own brain. She releases the neurotoxin, switch, the dead man switch or whatever that Kefer had put in there to kill herself, because she can't go on.
To quote Jimmy Akin, we have Chekhov's biotoxin.
Yeah.
He always likes to point out whenever there's something that is absolutely going to be used later in the episode, because they make sure to introduce it earlier. Of course, that's Chekhov's gun. And, you can go listen to the Secrets of Star Trek and Secrets of Doctor Who to hear Jimmy's, where he comes for that. But as soon as he mentioned the neurotoxin, like, okay, this is going to play a part. This is going to, this is going to have something to do with it.
And they'd introduced the little remote early on in the episode, and he says that it's to unlock his car. And knowing me, I probably would have just been like boop, boop, clicking the buttons, like, oh, it's a fob for your car.
Let's figure out which car you've got. What do you drive?
Let's see what it does. Let's push the button.
Yeah, it's very,
they
very
cut away to Anna screaming in her cell.
Of course, it was very clearly a repurposed TV or DVD player remote.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
a little tiny one. I will say Agent Barrett was one of my favorites of the whole episode, and you kind of felt bad for him, because he brought in SG1, and then they bring in Dr. Lee, and then he's trying to manage them all, but he doesn't really have the skill set to A, understand what they're doing, and B, manage them. So he's just kind of running from one person to the next, going, what did you find out? Where do we stand? What's going on? And then, oh, is that bad? It was just so funny. And I guess it was nice to have someone else and have him do that.
He was basically info dump person.
Yeah.
Give me the info dump I need now, kind of deal. And actually, I mean, that's a good way to do it, though. I mean, where you've got one person who is basically standing in for us and saying, okay, what's going on now? I mean, this is with Doctor Who, you have companions. With, other shows will do it different ways, but this just someone's like, okay, we need to get this information out that, here's what's going on with the bomb. Here's what Carter found. Here's what Daniel Jackson's found. Let's do info dump. Well, you do it as, okay, what do I need to know?
Yeah. And he's a likable guy. We've seen him a couple of times, and then they reference Heroes, because he's the one that gave them the memo on Woolsey. Right. And then of course, because this season is not weird enough, he asked Carter out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then she says,
I'm seeing.
Yeah, and he's like, "What, you?"
Yeah, I love that, and I loved her comeback too. You asked me out.
Yeah, it's definitely a self-own there.
That was kind of a fun little. You saw his I would say chemistry, the way he got along with everybody on the team, and wasn't really sure. Like, he asked Dr. Lee if he was kidding, and Dr. Lee's like, "Do I look like a?" What do you say? Like a jokester or a
practical jokester? Yeah.
Jokester, yeah. And I like him way better than Pete, so I've been okay with that.
Low bar there.
His best qualification is he's not Pete.
Yes. And he didn't die at the end of the episode. But I couldn't remember. I'm like, is he going to die now? Like,
again, low bar, hasn't died yet.
Pretty much. And I think they were trying to do the good cop, bad cop routine with him, with Sam, and then when they're interrogating him, because but they don't really follow through with it, because at one point he just pops off and grabs Dr. Kefer and slams him against the wall, and it's like, okay, I'll tell you everything. But there were a bunch of little ideas sprinkled throughout the episode that they didn't really follow through on. It's like, this is stylistically cool, so we'll put it in here.
Yeah, and for the most part, they just let Brand Greenquist Malkovich it up as Kefer there.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came across very creepy.
I don't know,
And then to have Barrett reference Agent Clarice Starling. Starling?
Starling, yeah, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, from
Starling,
Silence of the
yeah.
Lambs. It was like, okay, so you're trying to do this creepy thing. Like,
Well,
Yeah.
Barrett even calls him Hannibal Lecter.
yeah.
Yeah, and in the late 90s, early 2000s, every TV show had to do like a Silence of the Lambs type thing where you need like the creepy guy's help to take down an even creepier person. That was just after that movie came out. Like every TV show did an
Oh, yeah.
episode
Yeah.
like that.
But he doesn't even really end up doing that because everything is solved by a piece of paper.
Yeah, exactly.
My drawing that didn't burn.
Yeah, this is a very much a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
it
do
was
like though when
entertaining.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, very
Yeah.
much so. Except
It's
for
definitely
Victor.
Yeah. Are you not entertained? No, this is
style
one
over
where I was
substance.
I was checking my my watch quite a bit through this one. Or pausing the thing to see.
How much longer it had
Yeah.
left. I do like also when they're doing the meditation and she sets everything on fire. Daniel Jackson's just sitting there yelling for help, and the guy comes in and grabs the fire extinguisher off the wall. It's like, why didn't you get up and get that, Daniel?
When he's yelling
Yeah.
for fire, you can literally see it in the back
Yeah.
behind him.
Big and
Mhm.
red.
All he would have to
yeah.
do is turn around and grab it.
And then after they know what she did, they open the door
Mm-hmm.
and let her out again.
Yeah.
Just saying. There's little grates. You could have fire extinguished through those.
Yep. Maybe they didn't want to suffocate her, but I mean, I feel like
Yeah.
it's the lesser of two evils at that
She killed-
point. She'll probably
Well,
be okay.
She killed
Paper fire.
32
You don't have to worry
people.
about suffocating
Yeah.
her. Oh,
I just mean, on her own, she killed 32 people. So the two of you open the door. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
not the brightest.
And then the other thing is how Kefer gets out of his little room is he tells the guard, I just need a drink of water, and the guard like runs right up to him and like puts his taser like right up where Kefer can reach it.
yeah.
Because it was such a small room that they were like, that's the way they had to block it. And on that one also, Amanda Tapping's like, yeah, and some people thought it was be a little implausible that he would get up right that close to Dr. Kefer so that he could just grab the taser. And you're like, yeah, it is pretty implausible that like you
Especially
would-
since he could have just stayed right at the door and waited.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or why was the door even open in the first place? They didn't really say, and it's like the water fountain's right there. Just walk over and get it.
Mm-hmm.
You just need
There's assuming there was even actually a door there that wasn't just a
Opening, yeah.
opening. But either way, the guard could have stayed 10 feet away and still had clear line of sight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
another episode with no Stargate.
Yeah,
Nope.
no General
Yeah.
Hammond.
No,
And
well, no
Walter.
SGC at all, right?
Yeah.
How much of the elements of Stargate can you pull out of an episode to where it's not even Stargate anymore? We have no Stargate, we have no Jack, we have no SGC, we have no
Mm,
We have a Gould bomb.
that's true.
Yeah.
Gould bomb,
Yep.
we've got a half gold human hybrid. We've got a bunch of other gold related trinkets. So there's still plenty of Stargate stuff in there.
Teal got to wear a hat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. And I guess I assume Barrett knows he's Jaffa.
Oh, yeah.
He kept that hat on the whole time.
Yeah, but you know what's funny is that Barrett, for knowing as much as he does with this NID program and everything, and he really seemed kind of clueless when they would reference other things. He, maybe it's because he was supposed to be the info dump person, but they just
Mhm.
kept having to explain things to him, and you're like what's Naquadah? Like how big is this bomb going to be? I mean, I feel like he should have had some reference points for those, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe fell asleep during the briefing, I guess.
Yeah.
He felt about the briefing the way we feel about this episode, I think.
No gold weapons either. No Zats, no staff weapons.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Nope, just the bomb.
Yep.
Mhm.
I did like they kind of tried to explain some of the crystals, the different colors of the crystals.
Yeah.
The blue are the power ones, and you don't touch the yellow ones. Apparently, that must be like the arming device or something. Or
But then they
Yeah.
cut back to it and he has like electrodes set up, like hooked up to all the colors.
Yep.
So,
Mhm.
yeah. And I like that's the interface too. Is it just hooking up an electrode to the crystal and hooking it up to your laptop?
Yeah, there's only one point of entry there. Like,
Yeah.
what kind of communication is this going over? What's the baud rate of the crystals?
Yeah.
probably
Exactly.
pretty good, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like, though, after they disarm the bomb through the magical piece of paper, he wants to high five Teal'c, and Teal'c just leaves him hanging.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He just looks at him.
Nice. Awesome. Do we have any alternate language titles for this episode, Victor?
No, we don't. It's actually Resurrection in every language except for German. So there is one, and in German it's just Anna.
Hana. Okay,
Yep.
there we go.
Hmm.
Awesome. Before we go, we'd like to. We actually do have a little bit of feedback. Paul Leone commented on our episode on Chimera, saying a sentiment I very much agree with. Pete he's a not intentionally evil person who exists. That's about the nicest thing I can think of. Amen.
Yeah. And he's got a great smile.
Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we go, we'd like to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secret to Stargate, including Matthew F., Mitchell R., Pat S., AIR, and Julia S. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secret to Stargate and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. And be sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio. And you can find the video versions at youtube.com/StarQuestMedia. To find previous episodes of Secret to Stargate and to send feedback, you can visit sqpn.com/Stargate. And you can email us at stargate@sqpn.com and follow StarQuest on social media at facebook.com/StarQuestMedia or on Twitter at SQPN. And we'll be back next time and we'll be discussing the next episode of SG1, Inauguration. Until then, Father Cory, thank you for joining me and sharing the Secret to Stargate.
Thank you, Jack.
And Lisa Jones, thank you as well.
Thanks, Jack.
And Victor Lambs, thank you too.
Thanks, Jack. And, well, it's a bomb, right? Usually it's not a good thing when they go off.
It depends on the context. And once again, I'm Jack Baruzzini. Thank you for listening to The Secret to Stargate on StarQuest.
Anyway, I'm sorry, but that just happens to be how I feel about it. What do you think?